Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. I thought today was going to be a video about gifts and what we have to give. I have a couple of videos that I plan to record for you all. I was thinking I was going to sit down and do this morning about the gifts that we give through our own joyful service. What is our joy? That is our service. I have a video I want to record about the gift that is in every experience that we have. And yet, when I sat in my meditation this morning, I was very clearly given that what we'll talk today about is being of the light. What does it mean to be of the light or to be of the darkness? You hear this, and for a reason, but you hear this out and amongst the psychics, the mediums, the channelers in the metaphysical community, and you hear to ask if you encounter a consciousness entity, are you of the light? And one of them, and I'm sorry, I don't remember her name right now. But she counsels to ask 3 times, are you of the light? Are you of the light? That something that's not of the light cannot answer yes 3 times. And so, and that's very valid information. If there's any part of us that is still even has a big toe in the fear separation paradigm, we could encounter something that makes us feel fearful. And that if we are in that place and we feel that way, then to an extent, we are vulnerable, at least as long as we think we are, to the harm that it could do. We're really not vulnerable to harm from anyone or anything. But if we think we are, we're going to have the experience, at least temporary, that maybe we are. So I was given that we need to talk pretty briefly, really, about what does that mean to be of the light and of the darkness. Before I go on here, as always, if you find this video helpful, please click like and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm sort of share with everybody else that this is a good channel to watch. And do stay to the end because I have a couple of things that I want to share with you just real quick. So the light and not of the light. First of all, the image I was given immediately that this all came through is literally standing out in a sunny field or meadow or my yard, and there's woods and shadow, and I sit in meditation in the morning, and there's this big sunny yard and my neighbor's yard. It's all sunny, but then there's woods and tree line, and there's shadow there, and more I'm becoming aware of the paraphysical consciousness, how obviously everything is consciousness, everything, you and I and everything, is the God consciousness, source consciousness, expressing and manifesting idea energy. And there's a lot of consciousness in and around this earth construct. There are other dimensions of consciousness that participate in and around the earth construct. We'll call it paraphysical consciousnesses, other dimensions. And we're seeing that out in the mainstream more and more with Bigfoot sightings and dogmen sightings. I'll say another word about that probably in a couple of minutes here. But the point is, it's all consciousness. And I was sitting there sort of gazing into the shadow of the woods, and this image came to me that cleared everything up about that. It's when you are in the light, you're in obviously your true soul's light, awareness of the love and abundance and infinite joyful creativity that you are and that I am and that we all are. And you're in the light, and there's nothing obstructing or corrupting that idea of our identity of ourselves. The shadow, as I was seeing the shadows from the trees in the woods, the shadow can be likened to what some people have perceived, and I did at one point also. It's almost like a dome. It's like, here's all this light, all this love, abundance, infinite creative ability, just joy and creativity and flow. And there's sort of this dome of construct, of belief, that's a setup. It's a reality setup that we very deliberately incarnated into. It's not evil. Where there's lack, where there is limitation, where there's negativity, you can be, or something can be bad or wrong or not of the light. And people have perceived that as a dome that can then be lifted, and you're like, I'm not within that reality set anymore. I've likened it to having been playing a game of chess or checkers or whatever. While you're in that set of rules, you're in that set of rules. But then when you can get up and walk away, it's like, I don't have to obey the rules of being a checker or a chess piece. That's not what I am. This is what I am. It's like that. And actually, I did also in this morning's meditation, really just clearly perceive directly how we are. How little, when you were a kid, and how little kids, you'll pretend, whether it's cowboys and Indians, or you're pretending that you're putting on a play for an audience, or you're pretending that, I don't know, that the things are going on and you're all in the story, right? You're all in it, and you're running from the enemy, and but you're playing. The child is creating and playing and exploring and experiencing his feelings and his or her abilities, and finding things out within a safe context. And guys, that's really what I saw about us. And it's not that I didn't know this, but I saw it more directly. Always deeper, richer understandings to be had. That we are spirit, of course, here playing, creating, playing, exploring, having the feelings, having the experiences. But we are this infinite love, light, and flow that is everything. And so, but when you're in the shadow set of ideas and reality and belief, you can be bad and wrong, and you can be harmed, and there can be punishment for wrong decisions, and you can be doing it wrong, and there can be others trying to get what you have. And it really, that's why some, I think Cryon talked about it as a game, and you can see why. I mean, it feels like a pretty serious game when you're in it, because you put on the full body suit and the full morphic field of that game, and by golly, if you don't have a job and you don't have money and your kids are hungry, that doesn't feel like a game anymore, does it? Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing now. Everybody getting to where we realize that is not what I'm limited to. This is who and what I really am. Let's step out of those reality parameters, so to speak, where I'm trapped by that. And you know that. I've talked about it. Other people have talked about it. So anyway, so there's this state of just light, and then shadow. I'm going to call it shadow. And so when you say, are you of the light? Then yeah, you know who and what you are. There's infinite love, flow, abundance, and you don't have a toe, hopefully, anymore in the water of, oh yeah, but I'm subject to this. If you are partially or mostly or all in the shadow, dark, you're still living as if those things are true. You're still living by this hallucination that something can get you and harm you. Okay. There's a Bible quote, and I didn't know I was going to say this, so I don't have it right at the tips of my fingers, but it's, there is no fear. It might be Matthew something. If you know, go ahead, please, and put it in the comments. There is no fear in love. The God source consciousness is love, flow, abundance, joy. That's what it is. Light. There is no fear in love. And if you are perfected in love, fear doesn't even fit there. You're not buying the parameters of the shadow reality set that we've incarnated to very deliberately, so we can learn and have the experience and of waking up and realizing that we have been playing a game, as serious as it can feel, and painful, by the way. I know, I'm human. That quote goes on to say that because fear carries with it the idea of punishment, right? Something bad experiences, adverse experiences. There's that lack, that separation, that feeling threatened, that feeling unsafe. So really the light is that unobstructed love, abundance, flow, joy. The shadow is the construct that we've incarnated to, so we can learn all about creating responsibly, so we can wake up to who and what we really are. And the thing is, so if you're standing in the light, you see everything in the light. And even if you see something or someone standing in shadow, you can see, and can see who and what they really are. They are light, they are of the light, but they are temporarily being in the rule set of the shadow area. They think they're in the shadow. So you don't have to be mad at them or hate them or say they're evil. You know that they are light. They're expressions of the God consciousness, just like you are, that are temporarily buying the rule set of being in the shadow world, right? You can see that very clearly. If you are in the shadow and living in and from that, not only are you going to look around and just see that where you are in the shadow construct, but because it's a belief set, it's not just the visual light and dark, because it's a belief set, you might even look out into the light, where what the rest of us can see is just clear, beautiful, loving light. You might look out and see someone or something that's in the light as something to be feared, because you're putting it through the lens of the fear and the lack and the separation. Do you see what I mean? So back to that idea of the Bigfoot and the dog man. And I got to tell you, I've always thought that there's too many people that have been seeing the Bigfoot for years to blow all those people off. To me, that's ridiculous. Dog man is something I was just exposed to pretty recently. And at first I did kind of blow it off. But what I very much come to, seen, been shown is these are conscious entities that are paraphysical. They are of the earth construct. They inhabit their consciousnesses in and around the earth construct, but they are in a different dimension. And what happens is the person who sees them a lot, somebody like that may have their filters sort of opened. And by the way, guys, there is no veil. I was shown this the other day too. There is no veil. There's a self-imposed capsule. It's like, this is what I can handle being aware of right now. When we start expanding what we can handle being aware of, we start becoming aware of consciousnesses that are not completely visible, and consciousnesses that are other dimensional. So put that together with someone may have a broader capsule of what they're ready to handle, to be aware of. Partner that with that there are these entities, these beings that are in other paraphysical earth dimensions, enjoying the woods. They're usually seen out in the woods, right? And by streams. They have the ability, more than we do, to move in and out of dimensions. So they may normally exist in their sort of sequestered, at least to our view, sequestered dimension, but then they can sort of slip into the more fully physical dimension that we perceive, and then we see them out in the woods. And very often, not always, people are frightened. Now, the Bigfoots particularly have been, Sasquatch, there's so many words for them, have been very much seen and associated with orbs and with literally flashes of light. There's a YouTube station called Flash of Beauty, and I think that's why it's called that, because people literally see them disappear into thin air or see light where they materialize or dematerialize. That's them coming in and out of their dimension into the fully physical to enjoy it here. This is my personal opinion here. I think some of them get so tied to the fully physical that they really may be physical all the time, like physical populations here and there that don't even come in and out of the dimensions. But the ones that come in and out of the dimensions have been known to be very healing to the people they've appeared to, like miraculous healings of terrible problems, and also to be deeply aware in that one of them said to somebody who was seeing this being, he said, "Why are you working so hard to figure out what we are? What, you don't even know what you are." Well, that's pretty deep stuff, right? It's not just some animal. And somewhere, I don't know if it was from Bashar or from one of something that the Sasquatch shared with somebody that communicated with them, that they are the alternate probable version of us that didn't go all, I'm going to use the word techie, that's my word, but they are the alternate probable version of humanity that adapted to its environment, whereas we, as you and I know each other and in our culture and world society, whereas we've adapted the environment to meet us. We've completely changed and adapted our environment. They have adapted to the environment, which is why you see them, living joyfully out in the woods and in nature. Now, something like the dogmen, those cryptid things that you see, first of all, I don't know that they are always necessarily malevolent. Very often they're reported to be seen out in the woods, but they don't seem to come after anybody a lot of the time. They just sort of stare at the physical person that's seeing them. And the physical person usually runs, but they aren't usually attacked. So I don't know that they're necessarily of the shadow and malevolent. They're just, I think, of another dimension. There may be some that are actually of malevolent intent, that really are of the shadow. Nonetheless, light trumps dark. Light trumps shadow. Light comes first. The shadow belief system, the shadow intentions and game that any entity buys into can temporarily block light, but the light has to be blocked, right? The generative source is the light. Darkness does not generate light. Light is the baseline, is the source, and can be turned away from or ignored or temporarily blocked. So we are never vulnerable to anything from any dimension doing something to us unless we're still in a state of not realizing who and what we really are. That Bible quote, if God be for you, who can be against you? Right. The safe place to be is in that state of love, joy, abundance, flow. That is the safe place to resonate. There is no danger there. And then I guess a word about the quote unquote false light. There's probably more than one way you can talk about that. First of all, people can think that they are of the light and without even really realizing it, still be in the fear paradigm and buying into the fear paradigm. And it doesn't matter what religion it is. People that are generally good and loving, that consider themselves to be Christian, that are Christian, but they can still be very fearful that they're not going to get what they need, or something's going to be hard, or something's going to harm them. That's still got the foot in fear, or the toe, and more than the toe, in fear. And there are people that are in fear and they think that to protect themselves and everybody, things have to go just this way, and you have to believe exactly what I believe, and this is what God wants you to do. That's the box, right, of fear, and they don't even realize it. They think they're in light, but they're still in the shadow of this is what's true, and there's limitations, and there's rules, and there's structure, or you're bad, or you're wrong. That is, I'm going to call it the fear box, that shadow box. So there's that. And then someone asked me once, and I've seen it go across my YouTube screen, where some people talk about when you die, don't go to the light. That's a false light. No, obviously in this lifetime, I haven't passed away yet, at least not consciously in this probable version of myself. But I sort of picked that up as you're going to reincarnate. You don't just escape incarnation. You're going to reincarnate until you have woken up and worked out those kinks and snags that you're still holding on to that are fear-based. And so if you see a light that you feel drawn to and it feels like love, of course you go to it. Now, if you incarnate again, you didn't make a mistake. You're just not done. You're just not done yet learning what you came to the earth construct to learn. We have to get out of this idea that we're going to make some kind of mistake. That's still that fear. I'm going to make a mistake and go to the wrong light. Do you see that? It's still that fear construct. So anyway, I hope something I said there was helpful to you. Don't go away. Two things that I wanted to share with you real quick. First of all, I will be doing a mid-month meditation on solstice, December 21st. You are all invited to attend. It's still this month, December 2025, is still free to everybody to attend. All you need to do is go to my Patreon page, Kathy Hazel Adams Quantum Spirit, and join as a free member, and you will automatically receive an invitation, a link to join this solstice on December 21st. And also, just a reminder, if you like my content and don't want to wait for the next video, please go through the videos I've already posted on YouTube. I have over 100. This kind of information does not have an expiration date. And feel free to check out my Patreon page. I have all the live spirit talks I've recorded since January of this year. And then also, I have several workshops, guided meditations, and energetic clearings available for purchase under the shop tab of that page. So thank you once again for watching. Have a wonderful, magical day.